What's up everyone? I wasn't gonna make a video on Oinkologne, but I had a lot of fun battles with it during my live stream, so I figured I might as well make a video on it. I'm running it in a team with gligar and Quaquaval, which is apparently the correct pronunciation, and this is not a good team. But it was very fun. I got some nice Quaquaval sweeps and some good Oinkologne action, and I actually went 3-2 4 times, so you know, it did pretty alright. Quite positive, I would say. Anyway, we're just gonna head into these matches. Diggersby in the lead here, which is actually kind of fine for Diggersby as they're running quick attack, but I switch out into a load of Ninetales, which I respond to with Oinkologne. I let the first Weather Ball go, which is actually a huge mistake. Diggersby into a Charmer usually means a second Charmer in the back, which means you should just use your shields early, but I don't here. I thought Oinkologne would be able to get to 2 body slams here, but unfortunately it just barely wasn't. I think Oinkologne is actually a decent Pokemon. You know, Tackle, Body Slam, Trailblaze, or Dig is actually a decent combination of moves, but it just doesn't have the stats that like a Munchlax or a Lickitung have. It's still kind of bulky, which you will see in some of these battles, but I feel like it's just a little bit worse than those. But still pretty fine, which you're gonna see later on in these battles. Anyway, it is double Charmer like I was expecting. I do get off a Dig here, but this won't really put it... Well, we'll put it low, but can I even farm this down with Quaquaval? It's gonna be very close. Oh, I do wing attack it down. Diggersby doesn't get knocked out by a single close combat though, so I gotta either throw 2 of them or throw an aerial ace and then a close combat. That's what I'm gonna go for, as it is a little cheaper than double close combat. Go for the aerial ace first, because that move doesn't debuff my defense. Then go for the close combat, and this should knock out the Diggersby. It does, and that is a very good game. Next match, tough lead with Swampert into gligar, instant switch into Oinkologne. They stay in for a while, and they bring in Mandibuzz with Snarl. Mandibuzz generally does win this matchup versus the Pig, as it's just a lot bulkier. But since this Swampert gave me a big energy lead, I might actually have a chance here. My opponent over farming a bunch with their Mandibuzz. Just gonna throw another body slam here. And as you can see, those tackles and body slams are really adding up right now. They get to their first move. This is a Dark Pulse actually. This is the moveset I do like on Mandibuzz. I think there are another Dark Pulse right now. They might even be over already, but I get to another body slam. They shield that up. This is really nice. I think if they throw Dark Pulse here, I get knocked out. I feel like they end up throwing aerial ace. Oh, they throw Dark Pulse. I survive, and I just barely get to the move, which is just insane. Oinkologne, because I got the big energy lead earlier, is actually able to get a shield and switch advantage from a Mandibuzz, which is just crazy. In comes Swampert again, and now I've got my Quaquaval. I need to get used to that. I said in my previous Quaquaval video, I said Quaquaval, but apparently it's Quaquaval. Quaquaval. So that's it. Anyway, my opponent threw an Earthquake, a shield that, out comes Sableye, bring in my Gligar. This is a pretty decent matchup for Gligar here. Can just go for the Dig, no shield the first foul play, then shield up the next most likely, and I should be able to outpace with another Dig to the next foul play. If they returned here, that would have been fine too. They would have needed to spend like a ton of energy, and then I could have probably knocked out the Sableye with Quaquaval after. But they didn't. They threw a return or foul play. Now I can just throw the Dig. The Swampert is gonna have to throw a move into my Gligar to knock it out. So I'm just gonna stay in here. Hope they throw a Hydro soon. Which unfortunately they don't. So I throw the Dig. And now the ending is just gonna be a lot lamer than I was hoping for. Instead of getting to get a close combat on like an almost full health Swampert, I'm just gonna throw it into this red health Swampert. I mean, we still won, but it would have been a lot nicer if they just knocked out my Gligar, of course. Anyway, GG's. Dragonair lead, kind of awkward for Gligar, but Gligar does outpace with aerial aces to the Aqua Tails. Aqua Tails take 12 turns to get to. Actually, the first 2 take 12 turns. The third takes 11 turns because of the residual energy. And aerial aces always take 5 or 5 wing attacks, so 10 turns. So you always outpace the Dragonair to aerial aces. At least Dig is a little slower though. I do something dumb here, honestly. I thought I would be sneaky, catch the Aqua Tail on my Quaquaval, but they were never gonna let me do that. So that was honestly a mistake. I took a lot of damage on my Quaquaval, and Muck comes out, which is crazy. Even though close combat is resisted, by the way, it does more damage than a neutral aerial ace. Aerial ace still isn't that strong of a move, so I could throw the close combat, get the Muck pretty low, get a couple wing attacks in with my gligar, and now I hope I can sweep it Oinkologne, but this Muck just barely gets to another Thunder Punch. It's pretty unfortunate, but if it's something squishy in the back, I might still be able to sweep with my Oink. What is it? It is Charizard. That is pretty squishy. I was considering going Trailblaze here, because if they shield, I get the attack buff, and then my next Body Slam will definitely knock out, but I thought they might not shield, and I don't think I would have actually reached it before I reached double Dragon Claw, so I think I just needed to go for double Body Slam there. They get off the first Dragon Claw. I'll go for my Body Slam basically immediately. This knocks out. Should be in good shape, but it doesn't. Can I farm down before I get to another move? I just barely can't. Had I been able to farm down, I would be able to farm down a Dragonair as well, most likely. Would have won, but I don't. And we get taken out by the Charizard. Good game right there. Confusion Cresselia. Very interesting. Normally you see this with Psycho Cut. It's a pretty even matchup between Gligar and Cresselia there. If you have Night Slash, it's much better for Gligar actually, but because I don't, it's going to be pretty even. First Confusion, I really don't know actually who wins this, but we're about to see, I guess. They throw the Grass Knot. I think that's might not be the play for them. They also probably run like Moonblast, just slightly more than Grass Knot. And had they thrown that, they might have actually been able to farm me down here. But yeah, because they didn't, because it threw the Knot, I can shield here and actually get to another dig to win the ones here, I'm pretty sure. Unless they shield. Can throw this dig. This might... I think this barely doesn't take him out though, but they still shield, which is amazing. This sets up my Quaquaval pretty good for an endgame sweep. Because if I can get a farm down on something later, I can really hurt everything with those close combats, really. Grass Knot comes out on Oinkologne, and now I really hope I can farm down this Confusion Cresselia, and I just barely do. Out comes a Metacham now. I'm going to throw one Body Slam. Quaquaval does have access to Wing Attack and Aerial Ace to hit this thing for super effective, but it don't really do enough damage to where like a single one plus some Wing Attacks knock out. So throw the Body Slam, then throw the Aerial Ace right as they get to Psychic, hoping this knocks out, but just barely lives, which means I have to use a shield here. Now it's really gonna depend on what's in their back, and it ends up being a carbink. That's pretty awkward. So this thing doesn't take super effective from close combat. I'm gonna throw on 9 Rock Throws. It's exactly 9 Rock Throws to get to a Rock Slide, as it's 5 energy per Rock Throw, times 9, 45 energy, which is exactly a Rock Slide. I'm throwing the CMP here because I want them to throw immediately. I didn't want them to overfarm, because now I might be able to outpace the carbink to a couple moves. Trailblaze, pretty weak move. By the way, you could also run Dig on Oinkologne. Might actually be the better move, but I want to go with Trailblaze. And because they were energy dry after taking out my Quaquaval, I just barely get to the Body Slam right there. Like, they actually have it ready right now, the Rock Slide, and I take it out. So, and then we tackled out the Metacham too. So that was really nice game there. Ooh, this next game, Drift Blim. I really don't know what to do there. I actually should have Aerial Ace before dipping out, honestly. But I was too afraid of... Yeah, I should have just thrown immediately, honestly. Or after 6 wing attacks. Get a little bit of chip in, actually, before switching in this thing. Drift Blim is still a problem, though. Because my Oinkologne doesn't have anything to hit it. So I'm just going to end up Trailblazing here. We're both not really hitting each other with much. At least Tackle is chunking. As it's a 1-turn move, I at least do 1 damage each turn. Whereas they're doing only 1 damage per 3 turns with Hex, most likely. Maybe 2 at max, but that's still less than I'm doing with Tackle, at least. But they do have neutral Mystical Fire, so yeah. We're not doing great here, but I am bringing it pretty low, and if I can farm it down with Gligar or Quaquaval, this is too difficult. Later, I should be in a good spot. I don't go for the farm down though, go for the Aerial Ace. I don't really want to use a shield or get debuffed. I don't know why I undercharge here. I should just, if I wanted more energy, I should just really overfarm, but I can't say I really counted the hexes there. Anyway, I'm actually kind of glad with how this matchup went, as I now have Gligar on their Gligar, which is ideal, because I still have Quaquaval on their Hitmontop, which should be good news, as I have Wing Attack and Aerial Ace, which are neutral moves, but counter coming from a Hitmontop probably still does more than my non-stab Wing Attacks. Anyway, we're about to see it anyway. I'm just gonna let this move go. Maybe that wasn't smart. It wasn't smart. Maybe I should have shielded that. Would he actually switched out into Hitmontop to catch this aerial ace? And I'm shielding that. That's actually super good for me, like super good. Look at this, their counters are outpacing my wing attack damage, which makes sense. Counter is a higher damage move than wing attack is. In return, wing attack does gain a little bit of extra energy, which is why I outpaced this Hitmontop here, which goes for a triple axle, and now these counters are really starting to hurt. I go for the aerial ace. I really hope this knocks out at this point, which I think it does. It's Hitmontop is slightly less tanky than Medicham, so it does. Out comes Gligar. Can I farm this down? I can't. It farms me down, and it's gonna farm down my Gligar as well, and I go down with a shield. Gligar into Medicham is pretty positive for me, and they even switch out into Carbink, which is even more positive for me, as Gligar is definitely my best answer there. Gligar wins every single even shield scenario here, except for the zeros actually, as Carbink can survive 2 digs. A dig only does like 35%, but since my opponent decided to shoot the first move here, should be super fine. Actually, during the match, I was worried that Carbink might outpace me to 3 rock slides before I get to 4 digs, but I actually get there 4 turns earlier, as to get to digs, you need 7 wing attacks for the first, and then 6 for the next 3, so 25 wing attacks for 4 digs, and that's enough to knock out the Carbink in the 2s, whereas Carbink needs 27 2-turn moves, rock throws, to get to 3 rock slides, so I always outpace. My opponent seems to know that, so switches out Medicham to save his Carbink, switches out into Medicham to save its Carbink for later, which is fine with me, because I could go for an aerial ace there, let my Gligar get taken out, and then come in with Quaquaval to get some energy here. I think I could have overfarmed a little more. To be honest, I wasn't keeping track that well of energy at this point in the match. Really should have been though, as now, because I didn't do 1 extra wing attack, I won't be able to outpace this double. If I go down here, definitely lost the match, but Quaquaval lives. I get to the close combat. What is knockout? Double. It one-shots. And now Oinkologne should be looking pretty good to close out the match with a Trailblaze. Opponent still gonna throw a charge move here, but Oinkologne doesn't care. Moonblast, Rock Slide, it should be able to survive anything at this point, and it does. We get to the Trailblaze, which even though it's a weak move, should definitely be able to take out the Carbink, and that's a good game. Next game, Gligar into Diggersby. Once again, this is a pretty good matchup, especially since we're running Mudshot Fire Punch, it seems. That's like the best Diggersby Gligar can face. If they had Hyper Beam, it would actually be a close matchup, but since they have Fire Punch, very dominating for Gligar, so I decide to switch out, and I throw a dig into their Gligar. Really bad. Instant switch out into Oinkologne, and these tackles are hurting. They're actually doing quite a bit. If this is a dig, should be able to get to 2 body slams before they get to an aerial ace. So I farm up to right before, just 1 tackle before the next, and they let it go, so they know I should be able to outpace. Out comes, what comes out? A Medicham now. That's awkward. I just go for the body slam here, get some nice chip. This is actually very valuable, as this will put it into range where 1 aerial ace plus wing attacks from one of my Pokemon should be able to knock out. This time, gonna bring in Gligar. Aerial Ace won't be enough yet, but after this should be in farm down range. My opponent actually does decide to shield it up though, wants to keep their Medicham nice and healthy, so I'm gonna respond with a shield as well. The Ice Punch. That wouldn't knock me out yet, but it does do a lot of damage, as it is double, super effective of course. Now, at this point, I think I might just let Gligar go down. No, I actually shielded. I don't want my Quaquaval to go out on the field just yet, so I shield up my Gligar. Out comes Diggersby now, as long as I don't. We already saw Fire Punch actually, so I know they won't have like a Hyper Beam or a Earthquake to one-shot me. It's just a Scorching Sands, which I can take. Unfortunately, my attack does get dropped though, which means this close combat might not knock out, which it doesn't, but it does do enough damage to where after this Diggersby takes out my Quaquaval, should be able to farm down my Gligar, which actually super good for me, because if the Medicham had farmed down my Quaquaval and got on an Ice Punch, it would have won CMP versus my Gligar, maybe. It's kind of an IV dependent CMP honestly, but it could have, and then it would have lost the game of course. But because I farmed down Diggersby there, get to the Area Ace, knock out the Medicham safely without need of any CMP shenanigans. Anyway, next game, Charizard into my Gligar. Charizard's actually kind of a problem Pokemon, especially non-Shadow actually, because Shadow I can actually threaten with an Aerial Ace, but non-Shadow takes it like a champ. I'm going to Shield here. I'm expecting him to Blast Burn immediately. Blast Burn from a non-Shadow is not as threatening from a Shadow, so I feel like they might expect me to no shield, but they actually bait, which is a really good call, so I did end up shooting. Go for the Aerial Ace. Now, this is definitely going to be a Blast Burn, so I'm shooting this. And it does end up being a Blast Burn. I think I get to another Aerial Ace here. I do, but they're almost at another burn now. I'm switching. Oh no, I would have switched. Yeah, I would have switched to catch a Blast Burn onto my Peacock, because it would have been resisted, but we're still done a lot of damage. So yeah, go for the dig here, but they catch it on Diggersby. Really nice catch by my opponent there. I couldn't like wait there, as the Lantern also got to a Surf, so just threw it immediately, and they realized that I wouldn't wait. So really nice play by them. They throw Scorching Sands immediately. I would have thrown right before they got to the Hyper Beam. But since it's just a Scorching Sand energy, I knew I didn't have to throw yet, and I can take that before I debuff myself. Throw the Close Combat. And I should have overfarmed more. Again, I wasn't completely focused during those battles, so wasn't overfarming as optimally as I should. And because I didn't, I only got to the Aerial Ace, which they no-shielded. So another great call by my opponent there, knowing they could take that move, as it was just an Aerial Ace. I've got to catch this Thunderbolt on Gligar here. Now finally a good play by me in this game, catching the Thunderbolt. Now I just have to hope I make the dig, because if I make the dig, I might be able to knock this out with a Trailblaze, but I don't make the dig, make the Aerial Ace. Will my opponent finally make a mistake and shoot up this move? No, they're counting perfectly, and yeah, all I can do is clap. This was a very well played game by my opponent there, actually perfectly played. 1, getting the Dragon Claw bait in the beginning, and then 2, not shielding any of my Aerial Aces on their Lanterns. So, very well done there. GG's. That was the final battle of the day as well. Final verdict. Oinkologne is a decent Pokemon, but I wouldn't really recommend it over like a Lickitung, a Munchlax, a Dubwool, any of the other normals really. It is fun with Trailblaze, but Trailblaze really doesn't do that much, and the attack boost isn't like a huge buff, I would say. So not really a Pokemon I recommend. Just like Quaquaval, it's a fun Pokemon for sure, but if you really want to gain points, not what I recommend. If you want to have some fun though, definitely. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one. Good luck with your battles, trainers.